this show, guys, week 3 is upon us. We are talking starts and sits for NFL Fantasy Week 3. On the show, we got the great and powerful Jim. What is going on, Jim?
Man, just surviving week 2 was horrendous for me. I'm hoping that we have a nice bounce back in week 3 because it was a rough weekend for me. Monday night was the worst. It was just the absolute worst.
It's crazy. It's crazy.
Yeah.
We'll talk about highs and lows. We'll talk about everything you need to get ready for week 3 here. Go through all the matchups, talk about the point spreads, talk about the records, talk about what our expectations are. So much to unpack here in this episode, Jim. I'm super excited to dive into it. It's just been a crazy season. Again, we'll dive into how crazy it's been with injuries, Nick Chubb, everybody's just been banged up. Before we get into this, though, Jim, I got to mention, I got to give a plug to my favorite sponsor of all time, manscaped.com. Head on over there, guys. Get your Lawnmower 4.0. Make sure you guys, let me get the bigger screen here. Make sure you guys get the Manscaped Lawnmower 4.0. Trim your balls with confidence. You got the skin-safe technology. Amazing, amazing products. I'm going to pull it up here, Jim, so you can see it here. They also got underwear. They got deodorant. This is the underwear that I wear all the time, John. Too much information, I know, but super comfortable. They got beard trimmers now. Manscaped.com. Use code SHOWERLINE20 to save. Go treat yourself on the site right now. Go do it now, all right? Manscaped. Go treat yourself, guys. What are you waiting for? Put us on pause and go do it. All right, Jim, are you ready to dive into this, man? I mean, first and foremost, I got to say, I did a recap show yesterday and a couple highlights here on how crazy it's been. Let's talk about this. I know I was messaging you. I'm like, this year feels crazier than other years. And I think it actually does. And you're saying it's the same every year. No, this is crazy. Nick Chubb gone. I mean, his knee got obliterated, like destroyed. Barkley out for multiple weeks. Eckler, no timetable to return. We got Jamal Williams, his hamstring is messed up. Cooper Kupp at the beginning of the season messed up. Deontay Johnson, a hammy. Joe Burrow not performing. Montgomery with the thigh bruise, he'll be out for a couple weeks. Cam Akers a healthy scratch. Anthony Richardson, rookie quarterback, young, dynamic, great player. Potentially concussed up. Logan Thomas, Christian Watson hammy, Aaron Jones hamstring, Greg Dulcich out on IR. I can keep going and going and going and going. Dude, it's been insane. Like, there's no denying this year has been insane. Whether you're a 16-rounder or a Kinship, it's been hitting everybody. It's like a plague out there, right?
It is. It has been extremely rough. And just hopefully you've got enough depth on your bench to help fill some of these holes. In 2 of my leagues, I had Nick Chubb as my number 1 running back, and so he's gone. But in one of those leagues, I did actually have his backup, so I'm fine there. But that other team is like seriously screwed right now. So I'm like, it's at least in the running back department, and I mean, it's just like guys that had a really good week 1, like Calvin Ridley, just didn't do anything in week 2. He should come back this next week. It looks like a good matchup this next week. Anyway, remember, it's a marathon, not a sprint. We got another, 12, 13 weeks until you even reach the fantasy playoffs. A lot can happen. Just keep working the wire. Work some trades if you try to get rid of some players you're not happy with, and never stop improving your team, and just keep plugging away because things will get better.
Now, we're recording this on Wednesday morning, releasing it Thursday morning for your commute here. But I want to tell you, just came out right now, updating on previous reports, Cincinnati Bengals quarterback Joe Burrow calf will not, the key word here is not, be 100% for some time, according to NFL insider Ian Rappaport. Just getting this right now. I just got this 8:50 a.m., just before we're recording this. So again, now does he have an excuse for his lack of performance here, Jim? Like, what's going on? If you're a Burrow owner, I'm sorry, man.
Yeah, I know. And again, I'm a Burrow owner. I got several shares of Burrow. And I was just reading the injury report for him this morning saying he is it's not clear if he's even going to play this weekend. And it's the Monday night game. So if you've got Burrow as your starting quarterback, guess what? You got to find yourself a replacement now. Get yourself a replacement. Hopefully you've got a good player sitting on your bench, a good quarterback. But yeah, just terrible. Yeah, the backup quarterback in Cincinnati, if Burrow doesn't go, is Jake Browning.
Who?
So I don't even know who that is. I know. Who's that guy? But certainly not a good situation there at all. And
when you pay a quarterback, when you pay a quarterback $1 bazillion, you're probably not going to know who the backup quarterback is because it's probably some guy they picked up off the street. Hey, you want a job over here? Hey, we can't afford another backup, so we're going to take you off the street, probably.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Highest paid
Yeah.
quarterback, no ROI right now, return on investment for.
Nope, not at all.
Nothing.
Buyer's remorse.
100%. Can we get a discount, refund on this? We're taking it back. All
Can I
right.
speak to the manager about this?
Manager has already checked out.
My $55 million quarterback is overdone.
Oh my goodness. All right. Let's go to the matchups here. We're going to start off. We're going to rip through it. We got so many matchups, including tonight. Tonight's Thursday night. If you're listening to this on Thursday, if Thursday's already passed and you're listening to us on Saturday, just forward past this matchup, guys. Okay. We got the Giants 1-1. I hate Daniel Jones right now because I was playing against him. He was sucking last week. He came back and crushed it. We got the 1-1 Giants at the 49ers here, who are 2-0. Defense looks solid there. -10 favorite are the 49ers. What do you think of this matchup here? And we're going to go over the starts here.
Yeah, this one is an easy one for me. Don't start anyone from the Giants and start everyone from the San Francisco 49ers because it is going to be an absolute complete blowout. The Giants are hot garbage. They barely beat the Arizona Cardinals last week. Barely. They had a fourth quarter comeback to try to finally beat them. They are horrendous. And I know one of the top waiver pickups this week is Matt Breida, who is taking over for Saquon Barkley this week. Do not start Matt Breida. I mean, I don't even want to pick him up. I think he's going to be just awful. This looks like another 40-0 kind of game. That's what I think is going to happen here. So.
Yeah, especially on the road against the 49ers defense. I mean, for DFS, if you play DFS, maybe a Hyatt, catches a big deep ball and he gets lucky with some points. But yeah, with Barkley out, it's going to be a disaster. 10 points is very, very conservative, I would say. And then you've got the 49ers, like I said, start everybody. Ayuk a little banged up. Make sure you check his injury. Deebo Samuel, obviously Christian McCaffrey, Brock Purdy, all startable options this week. Go for it, Yeah, and I think 10 points, I think that's being modest here. I think the 49ers could win by a lot more. I mean, if you remember, the Cardinals were up 28 to, 3 or something
28
crazy.
to 7, I think was so
crazy.
Yeah, and we're talking the Cardinals. The Cardinals are awful. They are just awful this year, and yet they were basically completely locking down the Giants. Giants couldn't do anything for 3 quarters, and they're not good. So now they're going to face a really good team, and it's just going to be ugly. It'll be a very ugly game.
That's Thursday. Now moving on to the 1:00 games. Welcome, guys. The 1:00 games. It's week 3. Let's go. We got the 0-2. 0-2. I mean, it's just weird to say 0-2 Chargers at the 0-2 Vikings. I don't have a spread on this at the time of this recording, unless Jim sees something here. It's going to be a close game, and obviously Vegas is having some issues trying to decide this one because the Vikings, I mean, both these guys are relatively good teams on paper. They got great offensive weapons, both 0-2. Vikings being at home, you're kind of tempted to go maybe Vikings, but, I think Herbert bounces back. Eckler's been banged up. Kelly didn't perform well when we're talking starts and sits here last week. Now he's against the Vikings. I mean, this is tough. You obviously got to start Addison. You got to start your, Jefferson, I would say. Madison's been sucking. Keenan Allen's a must start. He's been doing well. He's getting the volume. I don't know when they're going to activate Quentin Johnson. I mean, you drafted this guy in the first round. You're not utilizing him, and you guys are 0-2. I don't know. The Chargers are kind of messed up, in my opinion. What do you think of this matchup here, man?
I mean, Herbert's looked great so far this year. They've scored 58 points, 0 interceptions. I think it's more of neither of these teams have a defense. And so that is very good for fantasy football. I think this is going to be one of the highest scoring games of the week. And I like starting as many people as possible from both these teams. Although, again, don't expect much from the running back positions. But, certainly with all the injuries that are happening, you might have to start either Madison or Kelly. I mean, it's just that's just the way it is. But I think all the receivers look great. The quarterbacks look great. I'm going to be starting Kirk Cousins ahead of Deshaun Watson this week. I mean, I think it's going to be an awesome fantasy game. I'm excited to see what happens in this one.
Yeah, and if you guys join my Patreon, Frontline members, I just released my optimal starts. I got both Justin Herbert and Kirk Cousins' optimal plays this week versus at their position. So patreon.com/FF Counselor. Join the front lines. I've linked it below. And you got to take a look at clues here, man. You got to take a look at what happened previous weeks. You got to take a look at what Vegas is saying. 54.5 is the over-under. It's going to be
nice. That's really good.
High score.
And I think the reason why there's not a line, I think it might just be a pick 'em right now. I think it's I don't think anybody is getting any points this week. It's straight up pick 'em. So yeah.
All right, next matchup here, we got the Bills at the Commanders here. 1-1 Bills, 6.5 point favorite at the Commanders. Again, you take a look at this and you're like, based on 2 weeks, you would think that the Commanders at home, who are 2-0, would be the favorite. But then you got to say that Vegas knows something. It's Josh Allen and the Bills. That's why they're favored by almost 7 points here.
Yeah, and I got to say, this is going to be a blowout, man. I think Buffalo is just going to cream this team. And and do not start Brian Robinson this week. Last week, Buffalo held Josh Jacobs to negative rushing yards. Do not start Brian Robinson. He's gonna suck. As a matter, the only person I think I could really start on Washington is probably McLaurin. I think that's the only player I could start looking at this team. But on the Buffalo side, I'm happy with everybody. Go ahead, start them all. They're gonna be good. It's gonna be ugly, but I think Buffalo is gonna clean this one up. So
yeah. Now, when you look at who the Commanders, this is what I mean. You don't sometimes. Things aren't what they seem. It's smoke and mirrors. You look at who the Commanders beat. They beat Denver week 2. And I think it was Cardinals week 1. So you look at this, you're like 2-0. You're like, oh yeah, they're the better team. You look at then you look at the spread and look at who they played, and then common sense kicks in and says, oh, okay. So yeah, I mean, Josh Allen had a bad week 1. Looks like he's bounced back. The offense looks good. And I think 7 points again, this is not advice on this at all. We're not telling you to go either way. Play responsibly, but yeah, I'm just saying based on what we're seeing and what the trends are saying, I feel that for sure Bills should win this one. It's a lock for me.
Yeah,
and cover. Next matchup here, we got the Saints at the Packers here. Yeah, man, Jordan Love looks good. I believe he lost last week. It was a tough loss too. They're the favorite here at home against the Saints. 1-1 Packers, 2-0 Saints. Thoughts on this game?
Yeah, I think this one looks like another blockbuster game, man. It looks like another one where there's going to be a lot of points scored. I haven't heard anything about Christian Watson's status. Is he going to be starting this week? That's certainly holding back the Green Bay offense a bit. But I think there's good starts on both sides of the ball. Not particularly thrilled about A.J. Dillon, but again, it's one of those situations where I'm probably going to have to start him just because of injuries, and I don't have anyone else. But on New Orleans side, New Orleans looks great. I think they're really primed for a breakout. They played well the first 2 weeks, not as well as I thought they would have, but I think they're starting to get in sync now, and I think they're starting to gel. And hopefully we see a lot of points out of Derek Carr and that offense. But I think on the New Orleans side, I'm looking to start everyone I can. So
couple notes here. I've got them both receivers having relatively tougher matchups versus position based on the corners. But again, if you got these top receivers, you got to start them. It looks like also a couple notes on this game. It looks like Michael Thomas looked like the wide receiver one. They are using him more than we expected, unfortunately for you, Jim. I know you got a lot of Olave stock. Michael Thomas
really did Michael Thomas get more targets than Olave? I didn't notice that.
Let me pull that up. I just saw him getting the ball a lot. I was watching that game. I didn't look. Let me pull up the target count right here, but it doesn't look good, man. I mean, Michael Thomas, 9. Actually, no, sorry. Olave had 11 to 9, but they are using Thomas more than I expected. 9 targets.
Yeah, they are using him more than I expected. But but the explosive playmaker is Olave, and Olave was like just a quarter of an inch away from a touchdown last week. He just barely stepped out of bounds on that. It would have been a great week for him. Otherwise, it was still a good week. He still had a really nice line, but the touchdown would have definitely helped. But that's the sort of thing. I think it's just going to get better for Olave as he gets more in sync with Derek Carr, and again, he's the explosive playmaker now, not Michael Thomas.
So what I was trying to say is 7 receptions for Thomas. He had 7 to Olave 6. So that's where he beat him in there. But still,
okay. So he had more receptions. Okay, but he's getting like the short stuff, the short passes and stuff. So I'm not worried about it. I still love Olave. He's great. So.
Okay. And then AJ Dillon crapped the bed. He had the opportunity to shine the bed. I think he had like 7 points. I gotta mention that, man. Like, what's going on with you, Dillon? That's why you're not a true starter, man. Just sucks.
Yeah, yeah, and this is a contract year for you, buddy. You gotta perform, or you're not gonna be on the Green Bay. Not gonna be in Green Bay next year. But I think also that the whole offense is kind of hindered because Christian Watson is out. I expect that once Watson is back and fully healthy, that this offense is gonna click on much better than it has been.
He's
So
pathetic.
it's just a waiting game.
I have no respect for that guy. None. I don't care for Watson. He's just a bum, in my opinion. Just a bum. That's my
Hey,
opinion.
He's just got a hamstring, man. You
Last
can't.
year he had a
Those things
hamstring.
happen.
He's a bum. Get on the field. You're young. You're dynamic. You have all the money and all the time and all the training in the world. And you have all off season. You're telling me your hammy pulls? Dude, come on, man. He's just not
You're being harsh on these guys.
I am.
How can you expect him to run if he can't? I mean, if one leg ain't working,
That's the name, but these are thoroughbred horses. They're the elite of the elite with the top traders and the top money, top everything. I mean, and again, knock on wood, I'm not an elite athlete, but I did MMA, but I was durable, man. I fought. There's some players that are just made out of glass. I think Christian Watson's that guy. We'll have to see until he proves me wrong. We'll see.
Yeah, I mean that could certainly be the case, but again, it's just one of those things where hamstrings are hard to get past. Austin Eckler has a hamstring. Deontay Johnson, hamstring. These soft tissue injuries, man, they're hard to come back from. They take a long time to heal. And so that's just the situation. So
all right, next matchup here. 2-0 Falcons. Is this fool's gold? Falcons 2-0 and against 1-1 Lions. This is the matchup I'll be watching because I got my kids going against my Bijan, and there's no Montgomery. I know you're upset. You're a Montgomery owner. But Lions, tough upset. -3.5 favorite here. Falcons on the road. And I'm telling you, man, the way, knock on wood, the way Bijan is trending, man, he could be rookie of the year and maybe offensive player of the year if he maintains this momentum and given the volume. I love this.
Yeah, he looks absolutely fantastic. The Falcons look better than expected too. I mean, I got to say, they being 2-0 is a bit of a surprise when I'm saying the Falcons. But this looks like a great blockbuster game. This looks like a great high scoring, a lot of fantasy points on both sides of the ball. I'm excited to see what happens here. And Montgomery, I heard he's just questionable for this week. He's listed as day to day, so he could play this weekend. But regardless, I'm looking to start as many people as possible on both sides of the ball here because I think it's going to be great. Except for Kyle Pitts, that guy's a bum.
I don't like Pitts. He's inconsistent.
What do you got? He got 2 targets last week. This is ridiculous. He's like OJ Howard, man. He's like this overhyped tight end that's just never done anything.
On paper, though, on paper, doesn't mean that it's going to happen.
Sure.
He does have an optimal matchup this week versus the position. So we'll see if that's going to translate. Again,
we'll see who's got the cojones to start Kyle Pitts this week.
He's got a good matchup. So matchup is favorable versus position. And surprisingly, man, I don't know what it is, but Desmond Ridder, the guy's gritty, man. He got it done last week, and Drake London bouncing back. So I'm excited about Drake London. I'm feeling more confident with Drake London now. And I feel that it was like week 1, they had the jitters. And I just think that their confidence level is up a little bit more. I think they got it out of the way. They busted a nut. As I just say, I don't even know what the word is. It's out of the system now. And I think it's going to open things up.
Yeah, well, week 1, they were playing, they were in the lead basically the whole game. So it was a game that didn't favor receivers. They just went to the ground game.
Yeah.
But I think this is going to be a very competitive game, a lot of back and forth scoring. So they're going to have to continue to score points. They're going to have to continue to throw the ball. And of course, they're going to run the heck out of it. So I'm good with basically just about anybody from either side of the ball here that's playing. I think it's going to be a really good game.
Bijan owners, I got to give you some context here. Week 2, still a little upsetting here. Tyler Algier, 16 attempts. Bijan, 19. Check this out. 6.5 yards per carry, 124 yards. Bijan Robinson. Algier, 16 attempts, 48 yards, 3 yards per carry, 4.8 fantasy points compared to 21.2. So Algier, though, still getting more volume than 16 attempts. That's too much for me. I'm not liking it, Jim. I'm not liking it.
Yeah, I mean, again, he's going to be involved. He's going to be involved every week.
Not doing anything.
But Bijan's getting all the high value work, man. It's not a problem. It's not hurting Bijan to have all these. you're getting that. Never mind. You're getting Bijan in my head. But Bijan's getting the high value touches. He's involved in the passing game. Algiers not involved at all in the passing game. I'm not at all worried. I mean, he's still going to have a role, and he's still going to get the occasional touchdown. And I think he's still basically a weekly flex play. And I'd play him in the flex this week.
So he fades
kind of
off
need to.
No, he's good. He's good. I think he's good. I just want to see a little bit less volume out of him. It's good to give Bijan a rest. By the way, I want to clear this up. So it's not even Bijan, because he even says that he calls it Bijan, but it's not even how his mom says it. I think it's Bajan or Bajan or Bajan. It's just, I can't even pronounce it like the way his mom pronounces it. But apparently it's not Bijan, it's not Bijan, it's the way his mom says it. And I can't even pronounce it the way his mom says it, but he kind of made up Bijan. And, it's not even the way his mom told him it is. So anyway, I'm going with Bijan. That's the way it's supposed to be pronounced, but it is what it is.
That's the way you're pronouncing it.
Yeah.
That's the way. That's his name.
Okay, there we go. But it's not. I know it's not Bijan. He made that up, and he actually came out in a video and said that his mom doesn't even pronounce it Bijan. So it's not Bijan. That's for sure. So don't tell me it's Bijan. All right, next one. We got the Titans at the Browns, 1-1 versus 1-1. 3.5 point favorite are the Browns, probably because they're at home. Derrick Henry looked good. I had him in a league. I won the week with Derrick Henry and that touchdown. It saved us. But, man, I don't know about this one, man. Nick Chubb's out. A lot of people asking about Jerome Ford. And if you want to start Jerome Ford, I believe this week is a tougher matchup. Do I have him listed as a tougher matchup? Yeah, I think it's a tougher matchup on paper versus positions against the Titans defense. So Jerome Ford owners, be careful. And also I heard Kareem Hunt at the time of this recording this on Wednesday. So don't come and tell me on Saturday, oh, Kareem Hunt's already on the team, because he's not at the time of this recording. But Kareem Hunt was visiting with the Browns. So if you spent all your FAAB budget, your free agent acquisition budget all on Jerome Ford, he does have a tough matchup on paper, and there's a chance that they might bring in a veteran, a lingering free agent that could be Hunt. So just want to give you some context here, Jim.
Yeah, and this game, to me, this looks like a bust game. This looks like a low-scoring game. Really, Deshaun Watson has just looked terrible. I think outside of the stars, you really can't start anybody. So, you can start Henry, you can start Hopkins, and on the other side, I mean, even if Kareem Hunt signs, he's not going to start this week. So, so I think I'm okay with starting the other running back and, Amari Cooper. But that's about it, man. I mean, really, I don't think there's going to be a lot of points scored here on this game. It's going to be a defensive struggle. And so this might be one also to start the defenses, start the Tennessee defense, start the Cleveland defense. I think those are good choices this week.
Yeah, going back here real quickly. First of all, this one is a 39. What is this? 39.5 is the over-under here on this one. The previous matchup was 46.5, so a little higher scoring for Atlanta and Detroit. And we forgot to mention Sam Laporta. I'm starting him every single week at this point. I feel comfortable with him. Can't believe we didn't talk about our main guy, Sam Laporta. And then I got the Saints.
Yeah, Laporta's great. I said start everybody on Detroit. They're really good. I mean, really, it's going to be a great game for them. So
Laporta's doing well. He hasn't even got a touchdown yet. Like, he's putting up solid points, and wait till he starts getting some touchdowns. So anyway, that's besides the fact here. So we're going to have to go back and make a Laporta comment there. So anyway, this one here, I mean, it can go either way. It depends on what Derrick Henry we're going to get. Browns, very unfortunate. And when we're talking about that Chubb injury, I don't know if you saw it. It was like a 90-degree in the sideways, like, in the way your knee is not supposed to bend. And this really upsets me because this guy trained his whole life, and this looks almost like it looked career ending. I don't know how you're going to recover. It seemed like, I think the whole knee was pretty much gone, like disconnected. It was like, there's no, what else? Yeah. When you're bending like that, everything's disconnected at that point. Everything.
Yeah. I mean, it's horrendous. He's 27. Would you draft him next? I wouldn't draft him next year coming back from this injury.
No,
at his age. It's the same thing with like Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers said he's going to be back. I'm like, dude, this is kind of like a career-ending injury for you because you're 40. You're 40, and you're going to try to come back from this at next year, maybe. I mean, I'm just not seeing it. It's just very tragic. It's very unfortunate. And just hoping for the best, and maybe he'll get back to playing by next year. But I don't know, man. I would not draft him next year, though. Right? He's just completely off my list.
It's crazy. You saw, like, if you look at Breece Hall's injury, right, when he tore his, I think it was ACL, it looks like a little knock to the side. It tears just the side cartilage or whatever. I'm not a doctor, but it tears, like, it kind of tears a little bit, but it kind of looks like a little move like that. Just kind of tears that one side. But when you look at, like, Chubb's, it's like the whole knee is like completely off. Like, the only thing really holding that together was probably skin at that. Like, it was terrible.
Let's change the subject, man.
All right, man.
I just thinking about it gives me the heebie-jeebies. It was just horrendous. He's
a really good guy. He's one of those players that I like. There's certain players like the Andrew Luck. So I always use Andrew Luck as an example. Like, put your head down. I remember David Johnson was one of those guys. Another guy, Larry Fitzgerald's of the world, right? Like Jalen Hurts, another good guy. Like, there's certain players that, like, put your head down and work ethic. There's no drama. There's no diva. Right. It's just put your head down and grind. He's one of them. So I'm just, again, I'm really upset about this one. It is what it is.
Yeah,
but,
it's awful. It sucks. I don't have everybody that drafted him. It sucks for those teams too. So, got to work at it, keep coming back. So,
and we kept saying, like, he was the safest player on paper. And I had this feeling, I'm like, he's just been so good. He had a pinnacle year. I didn't think injury was going to happen. I was like, and I always said, I think there was a bunch of videos that said, barring any injury, this guy is good. And unfortunately, the worst case scenario happened. Yeah. So you guys got to pivot and move on. Hopefully you guys got a good backup and tons of depth at running back. That's why I say robust or bust. You got to load up. And again, knock on wood, I'm fortunate. My running backs are good. They're just not performing. I mean, we have Bijan, Gibbs, and Damian Pierce stock a lot.
Right.
And they're just, Damian Pierce not doing well. So Bijan's kind of carrying me in.
And for me, Gibbs is fine. Gibbs, his role grew in week 2. It's going to continue to grow during the course of the season. He looks fantastic. I'm not worried at all about Gibbs. So,
okay. Next matchup here, 0-2 Texans at the Jags, 1-1, 9.5-point favorite of the Jags, coming off a terrible week. We got to talk about this because, again, I started Trevor Lawrence over Josh Allen. Probably not a mistake I'm going to make again because I had the Ridley and Lawrence stack. So that league that week got screwed. Very unfortunate. I'm just so pissed because Allen was on the bench, but it is what it is. And people ask, like, why do you have Allen and Lawrence in a league? Well, I'm going to answer that because some people ask is because I actually drafted both. This was the one I drafted back in May, and I got Ridley in the 7th round, so I knew where the talent was, right? I wasn't, the ADPs weren't high, so I'm like, let's just take points off the board because I think Lawrence is going to have an amazing year. But anyways, that's why I have both of them because I drafted early and I just was greedy and I wanted Trevor Lawrence.
Right, you were just super excited that he was available and you took him like, oh wait, I already have Josh Allen. Wait, what am I doing?
It was like the 7th round, dude. I got him I'm like sitting there in the 7th round. I'm taking him at the time. So anyway, long story short, and this is a big money league. So when you're looking at this, I'm like, Tank Dell is now, he's broken out. I'm going to start him moving forward. I should have started him last week. I started Nico, and I still did well. But Damian Pierce has got to step up, but he does have a relatively tough matchup against the Jags. Ridley's a start. And is it going to be wide receiver roulette? Is it going to be Jones and then Kirk and then Ridley? I don't think so. I think Ridley's is still the same guy. I just think the first 2 weeks were feel out phases. What do you think here, man? This is weird.
Yeah, Ridley's still the number one. He got 8 targets, and that wasn't as much as Kirk got last week, but it's just he only came down with like 4 catches. So it was just a bad game. It was very much a defensive struggle game, which was kind of surprising. I thought it was going to be this high scoring affair back and forth. And the final score was 17-9. That's not what you would expect from Kansas City versus Jacksonville. But I got to tell you what, man, this one looks like a blowout for Jacksonville, just taking down the Houston Texans. The Texans, they're just not good, and that'd be expected. They got a rookie quarterback. But they have been able to generate fantasy points, which is really, really good. So I think you can pretty much start these Houston receivers, and I think you'll be fine because there's a lot of garbage time in Houston, and so they utilize that. But Pierce is tough. I'm not sure I would start Pierce. because they're just constantly in a negative game script. That's the problem. It's a negative game script every week, and so that automatically puts the running backs in the back seat. But on the Jacksonville side, I'm good with starting everybody this week. I think it's going to be a really good game for them, and the Jacksonville defense looks like a great defense for this week too. So
Yeah, I got Damian Pierce as a tough matchup. Going back one matchup, Titans, I got Derrick Henry on paper as a tough matchup against the Browns. I forgot to mention that. You got to start him.
Yeah, but it doesn't matter. You're never benching Henry if he's playing.
No, you're not. So again, it's just the O-lines had messed up here with the Texans. They can't establish the run to save their life. Right. It's been so ugly. The wide receivers are good. Jags are good. Etienne coming off a bad week. Travis Etienne coming off a good week 1 and a bad week 2, man. Let me pull up his running game numbers. 12 attempts, 40 yards, 3.3 yards per carry, and a whopping 6.2 fantasy points. Travis Etienne, woohoo!
I mean, it was bad for everybody on that team outside of Christian Kirk last week. I mean, it was everybody did very poorly. But I expect Jacksonville to bounce back smartly this weekend. It's going to be a good game for them. So
smartly.
Start your Jaguars.
Is that a word? Smartly?
Yeah, sure.
Sounds like Donald Trump. It's bigly. Smartly, bigly. All right, we got the Patriots and the Jets. Oh, we got political there. We talked bigly and smartly there. All right, 0-2 Patriots are -3 favorites at the Jets, 1-1 Jets here. So divisional matchup, Patriots 0-2 are the favorite here. But again, you and I were ripping into Zach Wilson before this. He's terrible.
He is just awful. I mean, he's so bad. And this team, this team again, like I said from the beginning, when they brought in Aaron Rodgers, I'm like, okay, Aaron Rodgers is plan B for this team to make the Super Bowl. Then he goes out. There's not a chance, man. This with Zach Wilson. I mean, you think all he needs to do is just be efficient and not turn the ball over, and they should be fine with that defense and that running game. They should be able to do it, and they can't do it. I mean, it's just there's no threat. There's no passing threat with Zach as your quarterback. And so I've actually got this game as straight up a bust on both sides. It's a divisional game. It's going to be very low scoring. I wouldn't be surprised if the final score is like 6-3, or something like that. There's really nobody I really want to start on either side. Maybe Ramadre. You can start Ramadre. And I mean, with injuries, you got to start Brees. You got to start Dalvin Cook if you have him. And Garrett Wilson, of course, you're going to start Garrett Wilson. Hopefully he gets a touchdown. But man, who else would you start on these teams? I can't think of anybody else that would be worth starting. I don't like starting any of them.
36.5 is the over-under, very low. It's going to be a low-scoring game. Now, it is a divisional game as well, so it's going to be tight. Defenses are going to have to step up here. It's going to be tough. And here's what bothers me. I think Brees Hall came out. I was reading a quote, and again, I don't want to quote this incorrectly, but I think Brees said something. The reason that we lost is because I only got 4 touches or something like that. I mean,
that's ridiculous. Give the ball to Brees.
You don't have a passing game. You can't throw to save your life. Jim and I could go in there and probably have a better chance than what Zach. It's terrible.
I wouldn't say that, but but I get where you're coming from. But again, if this team just went super, I mean, did like what the Atlanta Falcons do, just run oriented. Only pass the ball when you absolutely need to, and just utilize these 2 really good running backs. I mean, really, Dalvin Cook is old, but he's still there. And Garrett Wilson was week 1. Look what he did week 1. That was unbelievable. Get these guys on the field and use them every single play and just wear that defense down until you bust something through.
Hold on a second. I got a screenshot here of Dalvin Cook fumbling. I'm going to pull this up here. This is
okay. Yeah.
Just before he lost the ball. You know that movie thing they do in the night. This just happened to me, and then the whole recap. Yeah, this is just before he fumbled here. Yep,
but
that's me.
You've got these 2 top-notch running backs. Utilize them, and especially Brees. 4 carries is absolutely ridiculous. And I just got to say, does this head coach want to get fired now at this point? I mean, is that what he wants to do? He's like, I don't know. I mean, But again, don't expect much out of anybody from either of these teams. And I'd probably start the defenses. I think the New England defense and the Jets defense are probably both good plays this week, just because there's not going to be a lot of points scored and maybe some turnovers. So there you go.
Yep. I got Stevenson as a mid-range matchup. I got Breece Hall as an optimal matchup, believe it or not. So they got to just feed the beast. They got to feed.
Yeah, utilize him. God, I mean, he's the best player on the team right now. Utilize him.
God, we're preaching to the choir here. All
Yeah,
right,
yeah.
we got that one. I mean, it's going to be close and low scoring for what we're seeing. This
Yep.
one, I mean, Russ. I don't know. I think Russell Wilson's done. Speaking of Aaron Rodgers and all these guys being old and done, I mean, 0-2 Broncos at Miami here, who are 2-0, 6.5-point favorite are Miami. I mean, you got to start Tyreek Hill. It goes without saying. Tua's start worthy. Then you got the Broncos here. I mean, who do you start? Do you start the rookie Mims? Do you go Judy, who's coming back and he crapped the bed last week? Sutton, who might get a catcher here and there and maybe a touchdown. He got a touchdown, I think, week 1. It's like wide receiver roulette with these guys as well, and Russell Wilson just can't seem to get it going and win games here, man. It's bad.
Yeah, it is bad. Where does the blame lie? I mean, certainly the quarterback is a big reason. Although I thought that Wilson has looked better than he did last year. He certainly looks better. But it's a lot of the same problems as last year. I don't think they're utilizing Javonte enough. They've been very conservative with him in the game plan.
12 attempts, 12 attempts, 44 yards, 3.7 yards per carry, 7.8 fantasy points for Javonte. 12 attempts, dude. They're not running the game at all. P. Ryan came in for 1 attempt. Jaleel McLaughlin 1 attempt. They're just not. They're not using them. They're just not.
Yeah. They got to utilize him more. I would not start Mims. Mims was like, 2 targets, 2 receptions for 150 yards and a touchdown. I mean, that sort of crazy output, you cannot expect that every week. I think overall, this looks like Miami is going to blow this one out. It is in Miami. It looks like Jalen Waddle's in concussion protocol, so he's not playing. But I'm still good with starting Tua. You could start, of course, you could start Hill, and Mostert would be good starts as well. Yeah. But on the Denver side, again, you just can't expect much. I think, Javonte, you're going to have to start. Judy, I would start. We'll see if he gets a larger role. Last week was his first week coming back from injury. So, he should get more work this week. But I'm not sure. I don't even know who else I would start on the Denver offense at this point.
Sutton is a top target guy, but will that continue next week? We don't know. It might be more Judy's show, but Sutton led in targets, and he looks like the one after 2 weeks. But Judy,
start Sutton too. But I just don't think you can expect much out of this offense, and just temper your expectations. So,
all right, moving on to the next matchup. By the way, what is the over/under on this one? I got to pull this up here. Do you have it, Jim? The over/under.
Don't, but
it is. I can't even read today. It's not giving me an over/under on this one for my particular app. It's weird. I guess
no. Okay, it's Dolphins are 6.5-point favorites.
I got him as fit. No, I mean that's the spread, but I don't see the over/under on my sheet right now. It's still early, I guess.
Oh yeah, they don't have one. They don't have an over/under for that game.
Still trying to figure out the Waddle situation, everything like that, like we are. Again, it's just too weird. Well, mainly the Broncos are kind of weird, but we'll figure it. I think Judy takes a step up. He has to this week. All right, next matchup here, we've got the Colts at Ravens. Ravens at home, 8-point favorite. I'm not sure as of right now, Anthony Richardson, if he's out of concussion protocol, if he's good to go. I don't know if you heard anything yet on him.
I have not, but I think when you're in concussion protocol, you're usually in for a couple of weeks. So
I'll have to pull that up. I have no Richardson stock. He shouldn't be a starter anyway. I got him in concussion protocol as of September 18th. Yeah, so... Yeah, I mean, it just says if he's active in week 3, he'll be. Yeah, again, we don't know if he's going to be active right now. He needs to pass through the protocol. That's what I got here.
Yeah, and so again, because Anthony Richardson is out, and I got to say, Richardson looked great the first 2 weeks for as among the rookie quarterbacks, he looks the best of all of them, and he got those 2 rushing touchdowns last week. Once he comes back, I think he's an every week starter. But without him being in on the game, man, I think this is going to be a blowout. I think Ravens are going to blow out Indianapolis here. So the only player I could really think about starting on Indianapolis is Pittman. That's it, man. I mean,
Yeah.
that's basically the only one I could start. But on
Moss, tough
Baltimore's
matchup.
side,
Matchup
what's
for
that?
people thinking Zach Moss is going to have a good week. He's got it in tough, man. I don't care for Moss this week.
Yeah, I mean, again, it's one of those things. There's so many injuries with running backs. You're probably going to have to start him. Just don't expect a whole lot. It's going to be negative game script, so it's not going to be favorable to his usage either. But as far as Baltimore goes, I think Baltimore, obviously the favorite. They look good. Lots of good options on this offense. I'd be starting as many Baltimore players as I can. Love Zay Flowers. Want to see him perform again, and the tight end. Lamar Jackson, actually, wasn't he injured? Didn't he suffer an injury?
I didn't see anything unless I missed it.
Let's see here.
I
Well,
don't
he's
see
listed as
anything.
questionable.
Maybe he
So I
did. He's just been playing like garbage. He hasn't been playing up to the $50 million that they paid him. What did they pay him?
right, all these overpaid quarterbacks, they're just stinking up the bed. Odell Beckham is having an ankle injury right now, so he's probably not going to play.
Yeah, I got Lamar. It's questionable. What happened to him? Lamar Jackson bounced back from week 1, blah, blah. I don't see anything here.
Yeah, I don't see anything either. So I'm guessing he's probably going to be go. He's going to be a go. So he should be all right.
You got too much Richardson on the mind with his injury there, and the same team. All right, same matchup here. Yeah, but I mean, this one, Ravens should walk away with this one. Colts have it in really tough, really tough. Our next matchup here, we got the Panthers 0-2 at the Hawks. The Seahawks, I just put the Hawks here. -5.5 are the Seahawks 1-1 against the 0-2 Panthers. I was watching the Panthers game, man. They look rough. That offense, Young does not look good. And all these rookie quarterbacks coming in, like, it takes them a while to get settled in. This is why we tell you, do not draft rookie quarterbacks. A lot of people didn't, thank goodness. But yeah, that's where we're at, man. I mean, this is going to be, I don't know how high scoring this one's going to be. We're looking at 42.5. So it's got them listed as a low scoring game, and I see it being low scoring as well.
Yeah, and I think Seattle definitely has the upper hand here. So, and I think they're gonna win this one pretty easily. As far as Carolina goes, I just can't think of who you'd want to start.
All a crapshoot. Thielen, I don't trust him.
Yeah, Thielen, but he's getting the volume, and he is healthy right now, so he's probably a decent flex play if you need him. But I really don't want to start anyone else on that offense.
No.
But on Seattle's side, I mean, again,
Walker.
I know DK Metcalf's dealing with an injury, but I think he's okay. It's just a rib
Walker's
injury.
got a good matchup.
What's that?
Kenneth Walker's a must start. He's got a good start.
Of course, yeah, Kenneth Walker, yeah.
Other than that, yeah, Metcalf was banged up. I saw that I think he was like hit hard and came back into the game that game. Again, you're watching so many games. You see Metcalf come out. I posted on my Instagram story. Metcalf is out, then he came back in, so I think he'll be good to go.
Yeah, it's like a rib injury, so that's a little tough, but it seems like he's okay.
Yeah.
Jackson Smith and Jigba, Tyler Lockett, I think all those guys are starts. Geno Smith, I think, is a risky start, but he looked much better last week than he did week 1. Of course, Kenneth Walker, and it looks like Charbonnet's starting to get some more work. He's not a start yet, but that's encouraging as well. I think he's starting to get some integration into that offense. So we'll see.
Important feedback here. 10 targets. Lockett was the number 1 target getter on the Seahawks compared to 6 to Metcalf, but he was out for a bit of the game. And then you got Jackson Smith with 6 targets as well. When you look at the running back situation there, Charbonnet only 4 attempts to the 17 of Walker. So it looks like it's the Walker's show for now until Charbonnet gets integrated. But again, Walker not doing too well. 2.5 yards per carry on 17 attempts. Not looking the greatest. Where he did shine was he did get the 2 goal line work. 18. That's where his points shine. But other than that, on the ground, not looking good.
Right. Yeah. And so, but I think he's going to be fine this week. So definitely a start there. So.
All right, this one, I don't want to spend too much time on this game other than like start the Cowboys defense if you got them against the Cards here. 2-0 is 0-2. -12 favorite are the Cowboys. I can't even imagine how the Cardinals are even going to score a point in this game. I really don't. It's 43.5 over under, but I think that's just 43 points for the Cowboys, 0 for the Cardinals. I don't see how they're going to win this game. But I saw some Deuce Vaughn He's not getting the volume I want. Pollard does look as advertised if he stays healthy, which I don't think he will the entire season. Cards, I don't trust anybody. I have no stock on any of the Cards. Players don't think of starting any running back from the Cards. They're not going to get past 1 yard. And the Cowboys, like I said, Pollard's a start. Lamb, Dak's got a good matchup for his position. That's pretty much it. All Cowboys on this one.
Yeah, I mean the Cowboys are obviously all good. C Lamb's going to be great. I'm not. I think Allen Robinson is out. I think he's dealing with an injury right
Who
now.
cares about him? He sucks.
Yeah. But as far as Arizona goes, I mean, I think Connor, you can start him. And I would also start Zach Ertz. Ertz has been getting a lot of volume. He gets like 10 targets a game. So that's great for the tight end position. He's definitely worth starting. But it's going to be negative game script. It's going to be, they're going to have to pass the ball a lot. And it's just going to be a dominant performance by Dallas once again. They look really good. Dallas looks good. What can I say?
They're the real deal, Dallas Cowboys here.
Yeah, that defense is something else, man. So
another match, which again I'm not too excited about. Bears at Chiefs, 47.5 is the over/under on this one. We got the Bears that are like what? Well, what are they? 0-2 versus the 1-1 Chiefs, 12.5 point favorite Chiefs here. Yeah, man. I mean, in regards to this, we're playing, wide receiver roulette. Rashee Rice might get some work. Again, we don't really know. It's kind of the same old story with these guys. Sky Moore catches a big ball, touchdown. MVS, whoever it is, it's a disaster. And in regards to Bears, man, I mean, what is going on with Justin Fields? I told you, do not draft Justin Fields. Do not trust him. He hasn't thrown past 2,300 yards, and sure enough, he's not doing good. I don't know what to tell you about him.
Yeah, I mean,
14
last year when during the draft, when they traded away their number one draft slot, and they picked up DJ Moore, it's like, okay, they're making an investment. They are Fields is their guy. They upgraded his receiving core, and it just doesn't seem to be making any sort of difference. He does have that rushing floor, which is nice. That does help. But the whole team looks like hot garbage, to tell you the truth. It just doesn't look good at all.
Like, look at this. You can't trust anybody. Check this out. So Mooney was the one. Darnell Mooney was the wide receiver one in week 1. Week 2, 0 targets. And then DJ Moore,
I think he was out. Did he?
Oh, sorry. He was out. But sorry, my bad. Chase Claypool stepped up is what I was trying to say. Chase Claypool, 8 targets. Yeah, Mooney was out, I think, right? He was out for that game.
Yeah, I think he was out week 2.
I'm way off here. But anyway, the point I'm trying to make is he comes in 15 points, 0 next week, and then he's out. But then Claypool steps up, puts up, he gets 8 targets. He's the number one target getter. Like, is this supposed to be DJ Moore? I mean, he had 16 points. But again, I don't trust him. And when you look at the run game, that's weird too. 7 attempts for Herbert. Rashawn Johnson gets 4. They're not utilizing the run game because, again, you've got the quarterback who's a running back. Why do you need running backs, right?
Well, and also they're constantly playing from behind, so that doesn't help the running game either.
That too.
But Mooney had I think an MCL sprain is what happened.
That's right. I knew that. Yeah, I messed up on that. Yeah.
So yeah, he's not playing. But I mean, again, it's just a bad situation. Kansas City's going to dominate this one. The Kansas City defense looks great. And they're certainly worth starting this week as well if you're looking for a defense. I mean, really on Kansas City side, I mean, I think Isaiah Pacheco, again, running backs are decimated. You're gonna start these guys that you don't really want to start, but then just Kelsey and Mahomes, that's it. That's all you can start on that side of the ball. So not a lot of good options here. I don't know. I think Fields is probably okay to start as well, just because of his rushing floor, but it doesn't look good.
No, I don't think so either. I got Fields as a tougher matchup versus position, so we'll see how he does. Okay, next one we got the Sunday Nighters, Steelers 1-1, Raiders 1-1, 2.5 point favorite. Here are the Raiders being at home. 43.5 is the over under. Steelers, Najee, I don't know what to tell you, man. I'm at a loss for words here at how bad he looks. Now, mind you, he did have a tougher matchup versus position last week. I don't want to excuse it, but it looks like Warren looks like the better, more dynamic out of the 2 running backs. It's a shame. And I yelled on Instagram and I tagged Najee Harris. I don't know what else to say. He's an utter disappointment. He's like literally Trent Richardson 2.0. If you guys remember Trent Richardson from years ago, did well on the Browns, ended up on the Colts after, just had one good season. It's just a disgusting show of ability here with Najee. Just terrible, man.
Yeah. But it has been two extremely tough matchups to start the season for the Pittsburgh Steelers. I'm tired of making excuses for Najee though. He's got to step up. He's got to do something.
Yeah.
And again, I have this labeled as a bust game. I think outside of the stars, you don't really want to start anybody. As both offenses have struggled mightily. Outside of the Devontae Adams and Josh Jacobs, who you got to start on one side. And I mean, again, Najee, I think I'm going to have to start this week just because of the running back situation. Not happy about it. And then Pickens, who else? I mean, I think that's it. Freiermuth only caught like one target last week. I mean, it's just not good. The Pittsburgh offense is a real big disappointment because I was feeling really good about that offense heading into the
Yeah.
season.
Yeah. I mean,
And
why wouldn't you? I mean, they improved the O-line. They had a down year. They got great coaching in Tomlin. They're just a huge disappointment. And then Jacobs, a guy that I was saying was going to decline, has done nothing the past 2 weeks. He does have a good matchup versus position this week. So this is the week. If Jacobs doesn't do something this week, then I'm sorry to tell you, man, he's done. I don't know what else to say. He's done. He's not.
I wouldn't say that he's done, but certainly this is a regression year. This is, but he's also had two extremely tough matchups to start the season. So, that's also part of it. But again, no excuses, man. You gotta perform when you get out there, and these guys haven't been performing. So,
All right, we got the Eagles. Now we're moving into what do you think of this double? I think it's kind of weird, the double header Monday, because usually I would just get my popcorn ready and I would just get ready at 8 o'clock. Now I'm like, hold on, I got a family. I got to come home a little earlier. We got to get in front of the TV at 7. And then I'm watching this game and the other one starts. I'm just like, okay, well, now I'm not enjoying Monday Night Football as much.
yeah, I hate it.
It's weird.
I don't understand why they're splitting their audience. You'll have 100% of the football fans watching one game, and now you got now you got it split, and you're switching between them. I think it's stupid. So
Yeah, I don't like it. I mean, starting your 7:15, but either way, 2-0 Eagles, -5 favorite at the 2-0 Bucs. Eagles on the road. Jalen Hurts must start. DeAndre Swift, you got to start him, man. I mean, they were smashing the ball last year down the defense's throat. Is Swift going to maintain that pace? I just don't. An injury-prone running back running that hard consistently throughout the year, just not sustainable. I don't see it. I don't see this continuing. I know a lot of people are excited about Swift and say I'm wrong about Swift. We'll see. Is it going to continue? The offense works for him.
Yeah.
The O-line works for him. Everything works for him. But, is he going to do well? And A.J. Brown, coming off a bad week last week, does have a good matchup versus position this week. So feel comfortable. Devonta Smith, A.J. Brown starting them. I like it. What do you think here, Jim?
yeah, well, the other thing is I think Kenneth Gainwell might be back this week as well. And if you recall, Gainwell was used, and I mean Swift wasn't used at all in week 1 because Gainwell was playing.
Yeah.
I mean, again, that whole backfield is just a nightmare to try to project. So I would stay away from it if you can. But again, you probably have to start Swift if you
Based
have
on
him.
last week, yeah.
Yeah, just based on last week. But it's hard to know even what to expect. It's going to be a risky pick. It's going to be a risky start no matter what. I do see this as a blowout game. I think Philly's going to blow this one out. I think Tampa Bay is way overrated and has played way above their pay grade the first 2 weeks of the season. But I think it comes crashing down this week with the Philly defense. So anyway, but on the Philly side, I'm looking to start as many players as I can. And on Tampa Bay, I mean, you obviously you're going to start Mike Evans, you're going to start Chris Godwin, and if you dare Rachaad White, but I don't think Rachaad White's going to do well this week. So that's where I'm at with that game.
All right, final matchup here. We've got the Rams at Bengals. Bengals -2 favorite here. I would give them a favorite, nothing at this point. But 1-1 Rams versus the 0-2 Bengals. We've got the over/under 43.5. I guess Vegas thinking it's a low scoring game. Joe Burrow, man, like I said, we talked about it. I don't know if he's going to be healthy. I don't know if he's going to be 100%. Calf's bothering him. Puka's a must start. Williams, a running back for the Rams, a definite must start. Joe Mixon not performing where he should be. Higgins and Jamar Chase. I don't know what to tell you, man. It's like wide receiver roulette with these guys as well. Are they going to step up? Are they going to feed Chase? What is going on here, man? If you're a Chase and a Burrow owner, man, I don't know what to tell you at this point, man.
Yeah, and with the fact that Burrow might not start this game. I mean, and it's a Monday night game, so definitely have an alternative in place. And I would pretty much just start that that alternative quarterback this week. I wouldn't take the risk that Burrow is declared out on Monday and just screw your fantasy team. So don't take that risk. But if Burrow's not going to play, you got to downgrade the whole offense. I mean, you're going to start your stars. You can't sit Jamar Chase. You can't sit T. Higgins, and you can't sit Joe Mixon. So just play him. But I'm not sure how much you can expect out of them. But on the Rams side, Rams have looked really good the first 2 weeks. It's kind of exciting that they've because no one was giving them any chance at all for anything, and they look really, really good. So I think we've got an upset alert here. I'm surprised that Cincinnati is still favored. I think that's going to change if Burrow is declared out.
Yeah.
And the Rams should be favored, and I think they're probably going to win this one. So start your Rams. I think they're going to be good.
Someone said Joe should burrow his head in shame. Get it? Like bury his name, bury his burrow. Burrow. Never mind. That's a joke of the day.
I'm not sure he's not playing bad because he's a bad quarterback. He's playing bad because he's injured. And so, he just needs to get healthy again. I need this guy healthy. So if he's going to take this week off and get his body right again, do it.
Listen, Jim.
And, get back to what you were doing last year.
Jim, if I'm your employer and I pay you $50 million a year, right? And you say, hey, Joe, I can't come in. I broke my arm. I would drag you in and I would make you work for $50 million.
Except what if it's an arm? What if you're a lumberjack? I mean, how are you gonna lumberjack with a broken arm? Come on, man.
I don't care, man. You use your legs. You figure it out. You adapt or you're out.
He's just got to be allowed to heal. I'm surprised at how long this injury has lingered because he suffered the initial injury like the first week of training camp back in July. And I'm like, oh, it's fine. He'll be fine for the start of the season. Clearly he's not. And then he re-injured it. And so, it's just like, eat some protein, rest, get some ice on that thing, heal it, get healed for God's sake. What the heck's taking so long?
Dr. Jim. So man, it's been crazy. And I hope you guys enjoyed this with our through commute. We covered as much as we could here on Thursday. And again, things are going to change, maybe somebody gets arrested or someone's leg breaks in training camp, God forbid. Like things happen, right? Like in between now and Sunday. So make sure you guys adjust accordingly. Follow me on Instagram. I'm putting the news out in my story mode. Turn on notifications there. And join the Patreon group, patreon.com/FFcounselor. And Jim, man, lots to cover here, man. It was exciting. And I can't wait till week 3, man. Hopefully things fix up for a lot of people.
I hope so. And no more devastating injuries, man. I've had enough of those for this year. Just way too many.
Crazy.
I just want to see these guys play. I don't want them hurt. I want them to play. I want to see them on the field. So let's make it happen. So
it's been wild, man. So stay positive, guys. Lion mentality. Thanks for listening, guys. Enjoy the rest of your drive, commute, wherever you're listening, on the toilet, wherever you are. Have a great day. We're out. Thanks, Jim.
All right. Thank you, Counselor.